A new exhibition or a mela has come to town. You have been waiting for it for almost a year. So you go with your family. You have been wanting to try the giant wheel or the Ferris wheel. However, on reaching the exhibition venue, your brother says he wants to try the Tora Tora, and he always gets what he wants. So all of you ride the Tora Tora. Then, as you say, hey, let's try the giant wheel, your sister says she wants to try the mini train, and the family rides the mini train. Then you take two more rides on account of your cousins. Meanwhile, your wants and needs get lost in the shuffle. Then, when you're about to say what you want, that is to ride the giant wheel, your mom goes to the food store and everyone eats popcorn. Your dad loves samosa, so he gulps two of those. Finally, when this is over, you say giant wheel. But all your family members are too full. They have eaten a lot. Now to try the giant wheel, it's not advisable when you have eaten a lot of food. So you return home without riding the giant wheel. Imagine living a life where this happens every day. Your needs and wants always kept aside, and finally you do not even know what you want or what makes you happy. In the short story, The Story of an Hour, we are going to meet our protagonist, Mrs. Mallard, Mrs. Louise Mallard, who has not been able to live her life to the full potential. Because of Mrs. Mallard's heart condition, everyone basically tiptoes around her and treats her carefully because they don't want her to get hurt or maybe die by hearing some shocking news. When her sister Josephine and her family friend Richard discover that Mr. Mallard has been killed in an accident, a railroad accident, they take time to gently tell Mrs. Mallard that her husband is no more. Mrs. Mallard cries her eyes out, then goes to her room to be by herself and locks the door. Mrs. Mallard has lost herself. She has not known what true freedom is. Kate Chopin describes how, in a matter of an hour, Miss Mallard's life unfolds before her. This tragic news causes an epiphany, an aha moment. An epiphany is a time or a moment when you discover yourself. You realize something. Oh my God, what has happened? That's a moment, that aha moment. So she thinks of what this news means to her future. How does Mrs. Mallard respond to this tragic news? That's the crux of the story. Who are the characters in the story? Of course, we have Louis Mallard. Then we have Mr. Mallard, whose name is Bentley Mallard. Do note that Bentley is said to be a loving husband. He is not cruel. So Mrs. Mallard is really sad that she has lost her husband because he has always loved her. Josephine is Louis Mallard's sister. Then Richards is Bentley's friend. It is Richards who informs the family of Bentley's death. When you read the story, I want you all to think of some questions concerned with the themes. Freedom and confinement is a major theme in this story. How does a relationship affect the individual? Does it strengthen us or does it take away our freedom? Does it mean we should isolate ourselves from everyone? Then how can we exist as a community? Louis Mallard had a weak heart. This affects the way people behave around her. The story begins by describing how careful people are about informing this news to Mrs. Mallard. How does our health affect our freedom? In the story, How you tell someone what happened is more important than what actually happened. This takes us to the second theme of the story: language and communication. How significant is language and communication in our lives? Richards waits for two telegrams to confirm that Brentley has died. Only then does he go to inform Louis Mallard about her husband's demise. What can you say about the reliability of human communication based on Richards' role in the story? There is a famous saying, "The truth shall set you free." How apt do you think this statement is to the story? The next theme is time. Chopin's story shows that knowledge conveyed in a second can change everything. The events in the story of an hour happen quickly, and the author herself does not mince words in relaying them. Yet, it seems like life can change drastically and a person can change dramatically in under an hour. Mrs. Mallard spends less than an hour processing the news that her husband has died. In less than an hour, she has gotten used to the idea of a different future. What is that? Read the story and find out. Finally, the story of an hour is a story about death. How does death or the information about death affect people? Death is painful. Death is horrible. Death is inevitable. Nobody can escape it. But is there a different way to look at death? Is a different perspective possible? This is what Chopin attempts in her short story, The Story of an Hour. Read the story and find out what happens.